Good evening. This is Ronald Allen with Managing Change through Effective Communications. I've just come in and had to take a refreshing shower because of the day's activities were quite strenuous. And I say strenuous because of the lack of willingness of parties to listen to one another, to hear one another, and most importantly, what I've just kind of discovered, I'm going to stop shaking the table here, is to prepare ourselves to receive information. And I know a lot of people talk about effective communications, and we go through machinations of different styles, greetings, salutations. Certainly when it gets into cultural differences, they're very formal. Today's discussion, do you hear yourself through the ears of others, is in some respects talking about the lack of willingness to put our already heard, our already decided opinions on the side. I also want to share with you the perspective that I walked away with from today's discussions with a group of, I would say, middle managers, their teams, project teams, and frontline employees. And it was a manufacturing environment. So right off the bat, I've kind of framed it for you so you can already, I'm sure you have, made certain assumptions. And that's exactly what I'm referring to, that we need to guard against. We need to be aware of. And we must be willing to say, let me try to hear the other person, right? And a pause, and you've heard me say this before, a pause can do so much towards that. Now, we're going to go beyond the pause because it can only be used so many times before the person jumps in themselves and it just goes back to talking over one another. What we experienced was a change in systems. The manufacturing environment is going through a significant change in systems. And it's going to require a culling of the herd over the next 3 to 4 years. So people who are planning financial security, even retirement accumulation of funds, taking advantage of the company's matching, anyone who's looking at the Roth IRA as opposed to the regular IRA. Now the game has changed. Now, I threw that in there because many of you might say, well, let's get back to the conversation. Let's get back to what was actually spoken during the discourse between everybody. That's the point. When you hear something, your brain goes into an assessment, a diagnostic, if you will, of what does this mean to me? How does it impact me, my family, my situation, my goals? And if we don't listen for that, if we don't ask probing questions to extract that, we're not going to get the very best from our employees. We're not going to get the very best opportunities to even help them move into other situations, reassess the landscape as it's changed. And so now the communications falls back to one against another. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. At least perception, and as we know, perception is reality, is I have lost. So yes, you're looking to instruct an employee in a new process. Yes, you're looking to implement the use of new technology, new teams coming together. I submit to you that there is another conversation, almost like a subterranean conversation, right? And that is how it's going to impact that employee's already working on mechanism of where do I fit within the company? What can I accomplish while I'm here? What period of time do I have to remain here? And unfortunately, so many managers, upper management, executives don't address this. So they don't get full or optimize, let's say an 85-90% engagement of their employees. And I had the fortune of talking with some of the employees as we were leaving. We ended up an hour in the parking lot. And what I found was I just kept asking kind of Socratic questions. And it was, well, we were told, we thought, we believed. There was a disconnect between certain departments. And therein lies the opportunity where we talk about managing change for effective communication. There's the opportunity to rally the troops, right? Even if it's a tsunami type change or what we call a wicked change, which is abrupt, right? You can still, it's in how you engage all stakeholders, from the lowest income earner, let's use that as a classification of the importance of an individual in a company, which it is, let's be honest with ourselves, and the most senior executives who may stay hours after everyone has left. So, I have some points here which I'd like to share with you. One is, are you interested in what we are about to do? So that's a question you can ask people right off the bat. They may know why they're coming as a group to discuss a particular issue, but most importantly, you kind of send that curveball to get their attention, to hear top of mind. And you'll have a few people who will be flippant, and that's okay. That's good. I think that hodgepodge of conversation, that's the richness of it. That's the value of these situations when we talk about do you hear yourself? Because what you're saying to the other employees is, are you interested in what we're about to do? And someone might say no. You say, please tell me why. And even if it doesn't work the very first time, which unfortunately so many of us think these processes and methodologies should work straight away, when what we've been doing is not optimizing the assets, the resources at hand. So just like any scientist, if you will, you must be willing to go through a number of trials and tribulations to get the combination of the conversation right. That actually brings up a whole other dynamic, and that is, are you the purveyor of the information, the initial spokesperson on the topic? Are you willing to understand that and work within that environment, the context? Why do I ask this question? Are you interested in what we are about to do? The conversation in their minds, the one they are already having with themselves, must be addressed first. That's why I asked that question, right? So when you go, think about the last time you went into a meeting. You were having a conversation in your head. And if someone didn't give you an opportunity, even if you didn't speak, they gave you the opportunity to know that someone gave a damn. And they asked you, are you interested in what we're about to do? And I know it's a sticky subject. I know it's a sticky situation. And then again, all conversation is sticky because you don't know how the other person's going to respond. And their response is based on whether they're ready for the conversation. Is this the right time? Did they prepare themselves? Did anyone give them a heads up? Has anyone given them an itinerary, etc., etc., etc.? So this is a very fundamentally important anchoring for any conversation. And it doesn't take all day or an hour to go through it. A second part observation which I make is, have you prepared yourself for an open discourse or same old one is right, one is wrong conversation, right? So let's take corporate and unions. We know right off the bat, boom, two rams, butting heads, one's right, one's wrong. And the irony is when they come to agreements, it's I got everything I wanted, and the opposition says I got everything I wanted. So right there, again, now we're going a little deeper into clarifying the intent, and you've heard me say that word, right? The intent in construction. Owner, contractor, subcontractor. What is their intent to make this project work? And everybody walks away, what I call a four-way win. And I'll share this concept, belief system that I have. One, the owner of the contract wins because they walk away with what they perceive as a win. The contractors walk away with a win because they manage to get certain assets from the contract. It doesn't have to just be money. It can be many other things. It could be the ability to work again with the prime. It could be an ability to be recognized in public. Those are all wins. Thirdly, there's a win of the profession. In all professions, there's an association. And those associations drive certain metrics that say this is the optimum way of doing business. Well, that's for the profession. So everyone now can look at a path that they can follow. And fourthly, I'm not going to say most importantly, because why wouldn't you, if it's most important, say it in the beginning. No, never mind. Anyway, fourthly, the society, the community, what we now call today social media, wins. So you've improved a neighborhood. You've improved relationships among the stakeholders. You've allowed people to be very open without backlash, right? Retribution. So that's my four-way win. So that kind of plays to this. Okay. Thirdly then, so we've got the first one, when we talk about do you hear yourself through the ears of other people, it's are you preparing yourself to be open in discourse? Are you willing to allow everybody at the table to express themselves? And then you can prioritize and categorize and let the team do that. And then we're saying, are you interested in what we're about to do? Because if they're not, then you're not going to get their full impact, and it's kind of half-baked, right? The cake is half-baked. You also get the benefit of saying to them, I want to listen. I know in the past it sucked. I know in the past nobody gave a damn. I know in the past managers pushed you out. I know in the past managers heard you and did nothing about it. Let's come